welcome to the very first episode of Fireside Chats. I am one of your hosts, Adam Cook, and I'm here with the much lovelier and sexier Tony Spain.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. First of the, and everything we have written down, of course, is in our beautiful little old school composition notebook, because we're old school here at Fireside Chats. So, first thing is Henry McMaster's job report. Now, Tony, this is a issue which is near and dear to your heart. I don't know anything about it because I'm ignorant on the whole issue. So, Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I just like local. Like to know, what's going on in your backyard.
Right.
What's going on the crazy hill.
Right.
I mean, what Joe Biden does in D.C. is probably not going to have a major effect on my personal everyday life.
Right.
I mean, it will have an impact for sure.
It'll definitely have an impact if you're wearing a buffalo costume.
Right.
So, like, that's definitely going to do something to it.
But yeah, I just like to pay more attention to what's going on locally in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the state of South Carolina. And as we know, Henry McMaster had his State of the State address last week.
Right.
Which I'm not a big fan of those. I mean, they're usually just a big dog and pony show.
Monarchical. I don't like it.
Right. It's just basically, hey, I'm going to brag about what I've done.
Right.
And this is what I plan on doing.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some interesting things in there. Obviously, he's going to spend a bunch of money. And that's what they always do.
Right.
So I'm not even going to talk about that.
He'll get his cut.
Right. I'll give him an A on economic recovery.
Okay.
There's a lot of manufacturing that seems to be coming to the state, and that continues to come to the state. Most of it's in the upstate. But still, it's coming. We have one here in Wilson County, the Claw, the Voters Drink, White Claw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, their distribution plant is coming to Columbia. I'm not sure where it's going to be.
Well, I hate that beverage, but I'm glad that the plant is coming.
So, and it's I think it brings 600 jobs.
Nice.
So there's that. Again, like I said, economically, he seems to be doing a pretty good job. One of the things that was in the speech, and this is something that I believe definitely needs to happen, but the legislature is going to have to do it because it's out of his hands.
Right.
And that is separating DHEC into two separate groups.
Really?
Which would be the environmental side and the health side.
Okay.
Because right now they're trying to do both.
Really?
And it's just, I mean,
too much.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It needs to be two. It needs to be two separate groups in order for it to run the way that it needs to run.
Yeah, like you said, the legislature can have to do that because we have like a state level version of states' rights.
Right.
Like the governor doesn't run anything.
The governor actually doesn't have a whole lot of control over anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's another thing he wanted to change about the two departments would answer directly to the governor versus the way it is now. The governor has no control of what happens at DHEC at all.
Right.
And other than he gets to appoint the head of the department.
Well, we'll see how the General Assembly rules on that.
Right.
So there's a reason why I have a sarcastic expression on my face.
Right. So and then the next thing, the vaccination. He didn't mention anything in this in
really?
the address about the vaccination plan.
So he has no distribution plan?
Well, he has one, but it doesn't seem to be working really well at this point.
Really?
And that's probably why he didn't mention it.
Right.
That I felt that he needed to mention it and come up with something to make it run better because.
Right. We need to get the economy rolling again.
Right. Well, right now we basically have 300,000 vaccines sitting on a shelf.
Doing nothing.
And that just seems to be having a hard time getting distributed for whatever reason.
I don't understand why there's such a problem with distribution all throughout the country.
Well,
it's like,
and it's really because they come up with these plans and they don't make any sense.
Right.
They're so confusing. There's people out there, they don't even know when they're supposed to get vaccinated. It's all like on this scheduled planned or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. To me, it seems like the solution, like what West Virginia has done, is it's more ran by the private sector versus the government sector.
Surprise, surprise.
Which interestingly, Dick Harpoulaton is bashing McMaster over that and says that we need to do it more like West Virginia. So we have a Democrat in the legislature that's actually cheerleading for private sector versus the government doing it.
I also find it to be messed up that like the hillbillies are doing it better than we are. I mean, what's that all about?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, some of us would say that we're hillbillies in this state. But
Well, no. Only when you get up to North Carolina or the upcountry. That's kind of hillbilly, but excuse me. Well, you know what I hate about Henry McMaster? That man can't even pull off a decent planter accent. That's the thing I can't stand about him. You should at least sound like Shelby Foote in the Civil War documentary, you know, or like Foghorn Leghorn. He can't even pull that off. Like, you know, hey, I'm Henry McMaster. Are you afraid of gay people getting married? Vote for me, Henry McMaster. Like, nah, man. Terrible, right?
Yeah.
Person that we haven't even met yet that I'm looking at. So, yeah, all of that sounds crazy. It's just yet another reason for me. Plus, his wife looks like Tammy Faye Baker with all that makeup she wears. It's like, it's wild, man. Apparently, you know, you can take the redneck out of the trailer park. You can't take the trailer park out of the redneck. So, next up we have Biden's inauguration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I gotta mention, nothing screams legitimacy like having 20,000 National Guardsmen and taking the oath of office behind razor wire. That just screams legitimacy, right?
Yeah,
you know?
I guess it does.
Yeah. You know what I think? I think the Democrats are serious. I think the Democrats and everybody in the quote-unquote establishment they're rattled, man. They're afraid like some dude in a buffalo costume is going to storm their gated community and burn their house down, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, we here at Fireside Chats, of course, condemn all political violence. So everyone there who got caught, you made your bed, and now you get to lie in it as you get raped by your cellmate. That is not our problem. That is your fault.
Mm-hmm.
You did that. And now I hear his mom is complaining like he won't eat in jail because he's not getting organic food.
Yeah, I think I read something about that, and
you're lucky if you get food in jail.
Yeah, you lost your I don't even know what to call it.
Your right to organic food. Yeah.
Right,
Screw that.
yeah.
But the inauguration went off without a hitch. Trump, of course, was not there because, you know, Trump's gonna Trump.
Yeah, but we had mittens and boots.
I know, right?
So,
we have Bernie memes aplenty now, and it's crazy.
Right.
You know, I heard he actually had his mail like in his pocket, like he was gonna go to the post office later, and I was like, dude, you have people for that. I would hope. You're a senator.
Yeah.
You don't have somebody who can mail stuff for you. I mean, like, the hell is that all about? So anyway, the inauguration has gone off, but you know what's interesting? This is not about the inauguration necessarily. But it is about the fact that apparently it only took 3 days for his agenda to fall apart. So, did you hear about this?
You talking about the agenda of unity?
Yeah, well, that,
right.
but also his immigration plan. Now they're starting to, you know, hedge their bets like, well, we're not really going to get open borders and we're not going to get amnesty. And like his...
But I think they are.
No, they won't.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they've got a whole caravan that thinks otherwise.
Yeah, I hate that, man. Like, you have a whole caravan of people. It's basically like, you know, 20,000 middle fingers, you know, to your laws and everything. You know, I think like it's going to fall apart because I don't think they have the support in Congress for it. And also his stimulus package, that's looking weak now because the Republicans were not even consulted. So much for unity.
Right.
Yeah, no, there's no unity going on today.
Yeah, you know, it was a great speech.
I didn't see the speech.
It was a great speech. I mean, again, the theme was unity.
Right.
It was the words that needed to be said.
Okay.
I liked the speech.
Really?
But I don't believe that he meant it.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, so there's that.
Right. Pretty words, but that's all it amounts to.
And then that's who, let's be honest, that's who Joe Biden's been for 47 years.
Right, he's an opportunist.
Right, he's a politician. So,
yeah.
Again, the whole thing was good. Lady Gaga, beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
What'd she sing? Was it,
huh?
What'd she sing?
The national anthem.
Oh, okay, yeah. She got a great voice.
Yeah, she did a great job.
And a fine rack. Let's point that out, too.
Right. And the poet, I can't remember what her name is now, the young black woman that she gave a poem. It was really nice.
Really?
Yeah. A really, really nice poem. I wish I remember what her name was. But anyways, I mean, you know.
We can ask our guest. He might know.
Garth Brooks showed up in boots. I always show up in boots.
Well, he likes to imitate his lyrics.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
He definitely stayed true. But
He's-
Bernie in the mittens, I love it.
Oh,
The
yeah.
memes from that is absolutely.
I'm surprised he
awesome.
wasn't wearing a Russian commie hat.
Yeah.
That would have completed the whole ensemble.
Well, maybe.
So yeah, apparently he'll have no honeymoon. I hear his approval rating is like -2 at this point. So
It's lower than Congress?
Yeah. Think
Wow.
about. Well, no, it's -2, like a little bit below 50%.
Oh.
Trump's approval rating or his optimism was like 0.2 +2.
Okay.
Now Biden's at -2. I don't know. I read it in one of my blogs or whatever.
Mhm.
So anyway, yeah, we'll see how that goes, but I'm pretty sure progressives are going to be the losers no matter what. Next subject in our little grab bag of awesomeness is the continuing riots in Portland. You see all about that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And you know we don't curse here on Fireside Chats because this is family podcasting.
Mhm.
But they're saying F Joe Biden and we don't want Biden, we want revenge. And
Yeah.
they burned down the DNC headquarters, I think it was, over there.
I don't think they burned it down, but
They attacked
they
it,
definitely
vandalized it.
yes.
Yeah. Well, everybody thought like electing Biden would be a return to normalcy. Not in Portland. So Andy, how do you pronounce his last name? Is Ingo or?
Yeah, I'm not sure the pronunciation.
Yeah, he's been reporting on that for a while now,
Mhm.
and he says that they're not going to stop till they burn down all of Portland.
Yeah.
He's probably right.
Well, they're not doing anything really to stop them.
No,
so I
not
guess
at all.
I mean, if you're not going to stop them, I guess they will do.
Yeah, they're going to do whatever they want.
So-
You know. Well, Portland is going to Portland.
Yeah.
So it's like, apparently they're trying to make it look as much like that very hilarious show that I've only seen a little bit of Portlandia. They're trying to make it a reality.
Yeah.
So,
But did anybody really think they were going to stop? I mean,
no.
you know, I think the Democrat Party makes a great mistake when they line themselves with extremists.
Right.
It's not just the Democrat Party, both parties.
Oh, yeah.
And we're talking about this particular.
With this incident.
Right.
Well, this is the
So
Democrats messing up.
I think
but we are acknowledging
classic-
Republicans mess up too.
The classic liberal in the Democrat Party
Yeah.
is becoming obsolete.
Yeah.
Like your JFK and your Trumans would not hardly find a home in the Democrat
Oh,
Party
yeah.
of today.
And like
And-
Ronald Reagan wouldn't fit in today's Republican Party.
Well, Ronald Reagan never fit in the
Yeah.
Republican Party. The establishment did everything that they could to stop him from winning.
Right. Yeah.
So, my point is that liberals tolerate the leftist movement because
Mhm.
they think that they're allies,
right.
that they're not allies.
Yeah.
The leftists is going to destroy liberals
Yeah.
just as soon as they're going to try to destroy the country.
I
They
think
want
that, yeah.
to they want to burn the
Everything
entire
down.
system to the ground.
I think they hate
So-
liberals more than they hate us because the moderate Democrat
Yeah.
is the one standing in the way of their agenda.
Well, it's true because the classic liberal Democrat has never tried to censor anyone.
Right.
You know, they believe in discerning
Yeah.
beliefs and views.
Because they're actually liberal.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's the difference. They believe in freedom of speech,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
So, not today though. A lot of these idiots. So, also, I don't know why I looked in it because I haven't put it in here, but for the record, I did. Amazon was something you wanted to talk about with Amazon being against what is it, mail-in balloting for
Yeah, so
unionization.
I just found this morning, so I haven't really read a whole lot about it. But apparently, from what I've read, so there's a plant in Alabama that's trying to unionize.
Jeff Bezos is
And
not happy about
yeah,
that.
Jeff Bezos is definitely not happy about that.
He's scratching
So-
that ugly bald head of his
Right.
going, why would they want to unionize?
Yeah, he does not want a union in any of his plants, although most of them in Europe are.
Right.
Right, but
That's Europe.
yeah, but anyway, so the union is trying to expand the election and have write-in or mail-in ballots.
Right.
Or, sound familiar?
Yeah.
So, so Bezos says that he doesn't want to do that because it opens it up to
Fraud.
fraud. Yeah. Interestingly, because the Washington Post, that's owned by Bezos, literally said the exact opposite in their editorial pages leading up to the election.
So ballot integrity
So-
for me, but not for thee.
That's right.
Yeah. And I worked at Amazon, and fortunately the place I worked was actually pretty good. But I've heard some horror stories
Yeah.
about some facilities. The place I worked at, CAE1, over in West Columbia, Casey area, or I guess that's Dixiana,
Mhm.
out there, somewhere in that area. That one was actually well run, but I'm telling you, man, like, I'm working at a better place where I'm doing basically the same job, but they treat you like a human being. That's the difference. So it's like, yeah, I think you're part of an equation. That's what I realized working there is like,
Mhm.
you're part of an equation. You are a cog in a wheel, all right? And as long as you provide a certain amount of value to the equation, the numbers work out, and it's all good. And they pay you good. The benefits are good and all that. But you know, it's just if the second you're not providing that value or you become expendable, he's axed. That's it. There's there's a high turnover over in
It's like, what have you done for me lately?
right, exactly. But I've been doing this for 5 years. Yeah, but I was talking about in the last 5 days.
Right.
You know, so bye, God be with you, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
and He'll make up for it by donating money to a bunch of left-wing causes. Because apparently modern liberalism is like is like a secular version of the Catholic concept of penance. I'm gonna cross my self 100 times and go, the rich should pay their fair share. And you know, the sin of your materialism, commercialism, just vanishes apparently. So, Jeff Bezos, if I could bury a claw hammer in your head, I would. I don't care about you having billions of dollars. I just think, you know, maybe you should have a business which doesn't live off high turnover, because those businesses ultimately suck. The business model is terrible. So, anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
In case anyone doesn't know, Tony is the knowledgeable straight man, and I'm the weirdo. He's Dr. Drew Pinsky, and I'm Adam Carolla.
Yeah.
So, here we go. Headlines time. This is the part of the show where I give Tony 5 headlines, 4 of which are real, and 1 which is fake, and he decides which one is fake. So, here we go. Your headlines today are: scientists have described dinosaurs' butthole in exquisite detail. Okay. Video shows knife-wielding squirrel in woman's backyard.
Wait, is it a knife welding?
Yes. Video shows knife-wielding squirrel in woman's backyard. Couple fined after wife walked husband in leash during COVID curfew. Okay. Pigeon's life to be spared in Australia after leg band declared fake. And also the final one, stock value in adult diaper depends skyrockets after Biden inauguration. Which one is fake? You need me to run through them again?
Yeah, let's go down the line and I'll just...
Scientists have described dinosaurs' butthole in exquisite detail.
True.
Very good. Video shows knife-wielding squirrel in woman's backyard.
Well, they can pick up nuts and stuff, so I'll say true.
Very good. Couple fined after wife walked husband in leash during COVID curfew.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, because that one actually makes the most sense out of all of these. Pigeon's life to be spared in Australia after leg band declared fake.
True.
Yes! You win, Tony! You
What was
got
the
it right,
last one?
because the fake one, I came up with this because I'm a genius comedian, is stock value in adult diaper depends skyrockets after Biden inauguration.
Yeah.
That was my hilarious take on
I
it.
feel like I would have seen that one somewhere.
But you fortunately got it right the first 4 times, so you win by default. So, high five.
Thank
Boom.
you.
All right. Now, it's guest time, everybody.
That's right.
Woo!
Who do we have
This
today?
guy's awesome. Well, let me read the bio for you real quick, and then we're going to get our theme song going. All right, so this gentleman, Travis Lincoln, who goes by T-Link, is a graduate of the South Carolina State University with a Bachelor of Science in Criminal or Bachelor of Arts, probably, whatever, in Criminal Justice and Constitutional Law. He was also a former substance abuse counselor and coordinator at DSS, He currently is program coordinator at 180 Place in Columbia, working to help homeless veterans find housing. He also is an amazing singer, songwriter, musician, DJ, and a comedian. I know this for a fact because I performed with him, and also because we were on the Wild Out show at the Comedy House, the best improv show in the land. It was amazing. So let's hear it, everybody, for T-Lee. T-Lee, what's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much.
How you been?
Good.
So, what's your take on everything that you've heard today?
Well, I could say that I agree with a lot of what you guys said, especially as far as the Democratic Party is concerned. Sometimes I think we pigeonhole political beliefs, definitely associated to race and also associated with class. And so I think you have a lot of people, at least who I talk to, who believe certain bits and pieces of what they vote and don't always understand, the agenda behind what's going on.
Right.
And I mean, you've seen things that I post on Facebook. I could be all over the place because I am all over the place. And I just don't want to put myself into, just one way of thinking.
Well, I'm glad that you agree with a lot of things, but there's no fun in agreement. I was calling all the money is in disagreement. So where would you disagree with everything you said?
I would say that the old versus, well, I would say this. The take on the Ronald Reagan thing, I kind of have a skewed view of that, or a different view of that, only because I wasn't a big fan of Ronald Reagan. Mainly because of some of his beliefs and some of the actions that occurred during his presidency and how it affected the black community. So
he's not popular in the black community.
No, he's definitely not somebody that I ever rooted for, and not that I understood everything when I was young, very young when he was president. So didn't understand it then, but now looking back at it and all of the things that transpired, actually it set our people and my people back for a long time. More specifically, the Iran-Contra scandal and how that affected the drug community and how that has impacted African Americans and people of color in America. So yeah, I mean, I think that you're right in the sense that they were trying to keep him out of office, but he went in there as a modern-day President Trump, in the sense that he was a popular figure. It wasn't necessarily a reality show, but it was definitely someone that got in based on his popularity, and not necessarily.
Yeah, and he came from the media, but he came from a media before all this reality TV show stuff.
Yeah,
so.
but he did have a record before he did.
Yeah, he was governor.
He was governor of California.
Yeah.
But there's something interesting that you talked about with the drug trafficking and everything, and that's an interesting topic to me, because, and this goes back to them all being politicians, because every commission that has ever studied this, in fact, Ronald Reagan had a presidential commission to study it. And we can go all the way back to Nixon, I think, had the first one, basically when the war on drugs started.
Right.
And every commission came back and said, if you want to win the war on drugs, you legalize it.
Right, you treat it like a health issue and not a criminal issue.
Right, you get rid of the criminal element, but that's political suicide. We're almost to the point now where it's not.
Right.
So it's taken a really, really long time to reach that mind of thinking, if you will, for it to be mainstream.
Right.
Right. And I'm just, what is your thoughts on that? Or do you think legalization would make it better, or do you think, or
because you are a former substance abuse counselor.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I went that direction.
Well, yeah, I think it's twofold. I think the biggest part about it is that there was never a war on drugs. It was the war on how much money we can make from these drugs.
Sure.
And of course, if you can flood African American communities, you can do exactly what was set out to be done years and years ago. It's a different form of Jim Crow. So the other part of that is also that Reagan hid behind the other parts of it, and so
He hid behind Nancy Reagan's skirt.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and like the idea of just saying no. Okay, well, have you ever had drugs and just said no? Like that doesn't work that way. That's
Right.
not even.
Right.
It's not even common sense. But they made a slogan, made it catchy, and put it out there as if that's all black people have to do, or that's all people of color have. It's only to the point to where it is now is because they see that it's more than just a black issue.
Right.
It's a people issue,
Mhm.
and that working in the system as long as I did, I saw the difference. I worked in Charleston, South Carolina, so when I worked in the inner city, those kids were known as addicts. Or crackheads, I'm sorry. They were known as crackheads or, drug dealers. When I worked on the other side of the peninsula in Mount Pleasant or the more richer parts of town, those kids were known as addicts. These kids, they got treatment. Black kids went to jail.
Right.
And that's what I saw. And then the other part about it is, the 13th Amendment is twofold in the sense that, yeah, it freed the slaves, but it also stated that a black man is technically not free if he's in prison. That's when his freedom would be taken away. It doesn't say black man; it just said any man. All slavery has been abolished except when
Right.
that person is in jail. So what's the best way to keep people slaves? You put them in jail. What's the best way to put them in jail? You flood their community with drugs. So it was a kind of a diabolical plan to make sure that you can eliminate the black man in the home, which doesn't strengthen that family.
Sure.
Because the kids grow up without a father.
Mhm.
So that's where systemic racism continues to permeate. And so now we come and people are just like, well, just throw away that. That happened years and years ago. No, this is very, very recent. Like there's been a systemic plan from the beginning to annihilate black men in the family, even after slavery, and that I think they just pretty much reprogrammed the way that they did it, and I think Reagan was a big part of that.
Now, did you see Dave Chappelle's latest special? Maybe not the latest one, but the one I believe it was called Sticks and Stones.
Mm-hmm.
There was a hilarious joke that he did talking about with the meth thing and heroin, that now he understands how white people felt about it because he feels the same way. He's like with crack. It's like, why don't you just get off drugs? Oh, you know what? I feel the same way.
Right.
Hey, there, white person. Why don't you just get off drugs?
Yeah, it's not that easy.
No,
It's not that
it's
easy.
not.
I mean, I've dealt with my own issues
Mhm.
with that, and it's hard to break habits, especially one with a drug which is designed to make you go like, I want some crack, and then you turn into Tyrone Biggins.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And also, I was going to go back to what something you said before the show, which is you called yourself a Republican. So in some ways, you said you could see the point of the Republican Party. In some places, you could see with Democrats. Where do you feel you agree with the Republicans, and where do you feel you agree with the Democrats?
Well, I mean, I think like I said, I was raised more conservative by nature in the sense that God first. My value system is strong. I wasn't a
Faith, flag, and family.
I wouldn't say flag, but
we got us a traitor here.
No, and that's the funny thing. It's like in America, for a black man, it's hard to call yourself a patriot when you don't feel accepted in the country.
Right,
So
right.
I don't reverence the flag like everyone else would. Not that I'm a traitor to the country. I love being America. I wish that America loved me the same way.
We love you, T-Lane.
I know, but that's individual, and that's the one thing I could say that my parents taught me. Just don't look at everything as a face value thing. You treat everyone the way that they treat you.
Yeah.
And that way it makes it a lot easier to deal with it. But in the retrospect and or in the totality of everything, it's just like it's tough for a black man to really take that ownership of saying, I love this flag, I love this country, because you see every single day how things affect us a lot differently from everyone else. But yeah, the conservative part of nature, like God first, you know, definitely family. You know, I was
Hard work.
Yeah, hard work. I've learned to progress as times have changed and as my value system has changed and my thought process has changed. I was probably a lot more homophobic growing up than I am now, whereas I get it. Whereas before, I was raised in a society where in the black community, homophobia is
Rampant.
It's a big thing. You're raised to that's just horrible. If you just don't do that, you're shunned from your family. Nobody really wanted to speak to you at that point.
Yeah, black gay man gets screwed twice.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
pretty much, yeah.
If you'll
stigma
forgive
still
the
there?
analogy.
I mean,
Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
there, but it's not as bad as it is. And then the biggest thing is I was a church musician, so I got a joke that I tell about it. You might have heard me say it, is where, you know, if you're a church musician, you're either going to be classified as two things. You're either going to be a hoe, you know, a church hoe where you sleep with all the women in the church, or you're going to be gay. You know, it's normal.
I think I have heard that one.
And you have two options, and I said, you know, as a result, I end up overcompensated my masculinity because of not wanting to have the stigma of being gay. And so I find myself doing weird things like, you know, when I take my girl out to eat, I don't ever take her to a place, a Japanese restaurant where they're serving or cooking the food right in front of you, because I don't want to see another man touch my meat. You know, so that's kind of the compensation, you know, overcompensation that I have. Or I used to coach boys basketball, but then I didn't like the idea of teaching boys how to dribble on balls. Much prefer, you know, teaching girls. And so I coach girls basketball. So yeah, it's just, you just have that stigma that stuck with our race for a long time. And you know, I have people in my family that haven't come out of the closet, like, you know, and they're older, and they just would never come out of the closet. And we know it's just like,
Oh yeah.
just won't do it.
Yeah, I had a second cousin where he was gay, and he would come to church with his friend every Sunday, and we all knew. It was like, come on, Bo. His name was literally Bo. And it's like, come on, Bo. Like, we know. Just it's okay. Just say it, man. But he won't say it.
Yeah. So yeah, you got that. And so yeah, that's kind of where the conservative part, more liberal part, is where my feelings have changed and aligned more towards a progressive approach. Whereas, you know, just treat everybody individually. You know, I think at least based on some of the conversations that Adam and I have had in the past, the elitist part of the Democratic Party is kind of where there's a disconnect.
Right.
But
Yep.
you know, they have tended to put themselves in the forefront of the black cause. Now, have they really done anything? You see a lot of posts where I say no, they haven't done anything, and that we should not just give ourselves to them. If it were left up to me, you know, I would have my own political party that's more influenced towards brown people, so that, you know, our interests are you know, paramount. It doesn't necessarily mean that we'd ever win anything,
Right.
but in order to get that vote,
It brings out the conversation.
or you definitely have to do the work in order to get it. And I think this last election proved how powerful that vote is, because had it not been for the black African American community and brown community, I wouldn't be in office.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up our interactions, because one thing I can't say is that having been in being the token white guy and Wild Out for so many years, and we got Donovan in there, and I mean, dude, with a name like that, yeah, he's definitely white. And you know, we got a Puerto Rican dude in there now, you know, so there's more diversity. But as the token white guy, some things that I feel like I do have a deeper understanding of where the black community is coming from, just because of conversations that we've had. And also, I think you understand where it's something you actually said not too long ago, where it's like everybody probably has the same goals and the same ideas, just we have different ideas of how to get there.
That's right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing.
Right.
They want a roof over their head, they want food, they want a good life, they want,
And a better life for their kids.
right, better, yeah, that's the key one too.
Yeah.
And really, at the end of the day, just to be left alone. You know, I mean, or at least that's how, I mean, that's how I feel about it. You know,
Right.
I just don't need Uncle Sam to tell me that, you know.
Yeah, I don't need him to be my mommy.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
I got one.
Yeah, right.
And believe me, she's got that part covered.
Yeah, and both parties are guilty of it.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Republican Party does, the Democrat Party does it, and it's because it's all about power.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and that's all it's about right now.
I do think there's a
So-
reason why there are so many populist movements going on all around the
Oh,
world.
yeah.
Not just here,
Yeah,
because you have a populist movement going on both on the right and the left.
that's true, yeah.
But you have it, you can see it with Brexit in the UK, you
sure.
can see it with the Yellow Vest
Yep,
movement
that's absolutely true.
in France. Hong Kong is not pacified, Japan. And over in Iran, they have constant unrest. So the populist movement is because I think the middle class and the working class are becoming aware of the fact that there's a corrupt cabal between governments and corporations. You know, like the rich in the U.S. have more in common with the rich in China
Mhm.
than they do with their own native-born people, because they're selling us out,
Yeah.
all of us, for their own. And you can name any two countries. You know, the rich in Argentina have more in common with the rich in the UK than their own neighbor, or the rich in Tanzania have more in common with the rich in Japan. You know, like everyone's being sold out by the leaders of government, business, and media, and that's why people are dressing in buffalo costumes and going crazy.
Right.
So that's a good discussion. T-Link, why don't you plug everything you want to plug? And can you hand me that composition notebook?
Well, I'm an avid social media guy. I do, comedy videos on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. You can catch me on all three platforms as comedian T-Link. I'm also a co-host of a weekly open mic comedy show
At the Joint.
at the Joint in Columbia.
And it's
on Main
awesome.
Street. We welcome all comics there. Also, we've just kind of formed a little union with myself, Dwayne Nettles, comedian Michael Garrett, and comedian Nestor Vasquez. We call ourselves the Certified Comics. And so we'll be hosting different events, in comedy clubs throughout the state of South Carolina and wherever else we can do it. And
Can I join that?
Yep, I'm joining the group, but you can definitely be a part of what we're doing. We're always looking for new comics to come through, and got anything going on, we'll support you as well. That's what I got going on right now.
All right.
Can you tell about the veterans program or whatever?
So yeah, I work for 180 Place, and I work for a program called Supportive Services for Veterans and Families. And so what I do is I have a staff of 8 individuals, 5 case managers, 2 outreach people, and an intake worker. And what we do is we help veterans that have been homeless or at risk of homelessness find housing. And so it's a VA-sponsored program, so it's a federal program, but because the VA did not trust, the federal government didn't trust the VA with doing that program correctly, they went to a private source and outsourced it to our agency and other agencies across the country. So it's a nationwide program where veterans receive funding to help them sustain housing. And so part of that is teaching them financial stability, teaching, helping them get to their appointments to the VA, and making sure that the VA is giving them what they need to survive, if at all possible, and providing that stopgap to help them get out of their situation, and also to stop them from having that problem occur again. So,
And as a veteran, thank you for that.
I appreciate it. I love doing it, man. It's been one of the highlights of my career. I spent a lot more of my time doing things in adverse situations, whereas there were punitive damages for people that didn't really have as much control as you would normally think. Now I get an opportunity to help somebody every day, and there's not a whole lot of bureaucracy behind it, because I got money to do it. And, they come to me, I'm like, just give it to them. Just give it to them.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't have to, I have to go through the court system where it's corrupt and see judges
Mhm.
do what I had to deal with when I was at DSS or substance abuse counseling, where whereas that's not how you do that. You can't send them to jail to get off of drugs. That's not
Right.
How it works.
They're just gonna
that's
get into-
crazy.
Oh, that sounds like
Yeah.
a great plan.
They're
Yeah,
just gonna
that's-
get
yeah.
into newer and better drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, you're basically linking them up with the people that
Right.
have the biggest platforms to sell it. So when they get out, they're going to be notorious drug dealers. But it was hard telling them that, and so I had to collect urine every freaking week for about 50 or 60 individuals, knowing that they were going to jail. And so when I did quit, the judge asked me why, and I told her it was literally pissing me off. So
There you go.
And you had to wash your hands too much.
all the
So,
time, man,
yeah.
it was unreal.
You turned into Howard Hughes to the point where it was
Wow.
starting to hurt.
Literally, they give you 100 pack of gloves, and you use all 100 of the gloves. I had 50 clients. I changed gloves every single time that I did it because you couldn't
Yeah.
put the gloves back on.
Right.
It's disgusting. So,
Well, that's the government for you.
Yeah,
So, all right, the way we always end this, T-Link, is we have a little thing, a little segment we like to call, in the old school composition notebook, we have who would win in a fight. Okay, so now your choices are Adam Smith, founder of capitalism, or Karl Marx, founder of socialism. Now, I'm going to have to go with Adam Smith, but you tell me who you think would win.
I'm going to say Karl Marx because
Really?
Yeah, the reason why I say Karl Marx is because it would be a collective effort to beat Adam Smith, but
No. It's only those two guys.
Okay, but he used the communist approach, which would incorporate
Kicking in the balls.
everyone doing a collective job to get the job accomplished. Whereas Adam would probably have to capitalize off of something in order to win the fight, and he'd have to have that opportunity to do so. I just think Karl would dominate that.
I think it would be Adam Smith because Adam Smith was a Scot, and I believe Karl Marx was a German. And my money's on the Scot. Okay, I think the Scot is going to beat the hell out of that German.
Yeah.
Because also, I mean, I disagree that I think like an individual, if it's just one individual against another individual, and Karl Marx doesn't have his collective behind him, he's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
I think. What do you think?
Well, I'm probably going to go with Adam Smith.
Right.
I think capitalism is a very powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it's a hard one. It's a hard one because, like he said, I mean, Karl Marx would definitely have.
He would fight dirty.
Yeah.
He would kick him in the
Oh
balls.
yeah, he's definitely going to
Yeah,
fight.
he's
I mean,
good.
no doubt
He's
about
gonna,
that.
everything
he's
in his
gonna,
power.
Yeah,
he's
no
gonna
doubt about
gouge, he's
that.
gonna fight,
Uh,
he's gonna do everything.
And plus, who's to say Adam won't wear a skirt, and he leaves all of his facilities at college disposal.
He could.
Yeah.
He could. Well, we're gonna have to leave that one up to the audience's interpretation. But for the record, Karl Marx, Adam Smith. That is who we all. But I mean, I think you might be on the fence a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to call it a tie.
I'm gonna call it a tie.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it comes down to who had the more magnificent beard. So
Right.
we'll look at it that way.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm not a fan of communism, by the way. It's just
Right. Well, nobody in their right mind is a fan of communism, which is why so many white liberals love it. So, anyway, this has been the inaugural episode of Fireside Chats. First of all, I want to thank our guest today, Travis Lincoln, known as T-Link.
Thank you
You're
for
good,
having me.
man.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for
You
coming.
know,
Appreciate it.
I am the Adam Carolla, Adam Cook. This is the Dr. Drew Pensky, Tony Spain. He knows what he's talking about. I'm just here for the jokes. So, everybody, we will see. We're going to do this every 2 weeks until we get into the swing of it, and then hopefully we can do it every week. And so we will see you next time. And remember, stay sexy out there, America.